presents winner of the International Documentary Association's Distinguished Award for Best Continuing Series.
A whole crowd has gathered in order to pray in St. Peter's Square. It was a time the world came together.
Benedetto è il frutto del tuo seno, Gesù.
A square pulsing with prayer. Hoping for life, preparing for death.
Cardinale Wojtyła.
For nearly 27 years, we watched as this man, the leader of the Catholic Church, grew old and frail. His inner strength was apparent to all. Now it is a time for faith and reflection. The moment before everything changed. The Vatican, St. Peter's Square. This is where they came. Those millions who rushed to Rome to pray, to grieve, and to say goodbye to their beloved John Paul II. I'm Delia Gallagher. The images remain as vivid today as they were just a year ago. But for the real story of John Paul's final days, you have to go behind these walls, to those closest to him. Theirs are the untold stories, the stories you've never heard until now.
My life became his life.
For nearly 40 years, Cardinal Stanislaw Dziwisz and Pope John Paul II were inseparable.
I didn't have a private life. His schedule, his work, became my work, my schedule.
Dziwisz was the Pope's personal secretary, a job he started when John Paul was still Karol Wojtyła, the young Archbishop of Krakow.
He asked me, can you come and help me with my work? And I said, when? He said, today. I told him I'd come tomorrow, and tomorrow lasted for more than 39 years.
Today, 1 year after his friend's death, Dziwisz is back home in Krakow, working the same job, living in the same home, and praying in the same private chapel where his mentor once prayed.
After breakfast, he'd come here, lock himself in and pray by himself until 11. No one else was allowed in. He'd be here alone with Christ. And not only did he pray, he also worked here. The nuns were always curious about what he was doing.
Obviously, you would be tired, after all the ceremonies, but, you wouldn't think so to see him at the meal. He looked very relaxed, and, of course, the only ones there were people who spoke Polish, because I think it gave him a chance to relax and not have to be thinking in another language.
Gloria a Dio nel più alto dei cieli.
It was like seeing the face of Jesus for the first time. Mother Tecla Famiglietti is the head of the Brigittine nuns in Rome. She first met the pontiff in 1979, after he became pope. He asked me, what is your mission? And I said, the glorification of God and the reunification of the church. He said, we have a long road ahead of us. And I said, yes, Holy Father, this won't be easy, even for us. But 1 year ago, they were at the bedside of a dying pope, saying farewell to a friend, a mentor, and the leader of their church.
I knew that it couldn't go on much longer.
God didn't let him suffer long. Only 3 days.
It was the hardest time of my life. The loss was just too great.
When we come back, their secrets revealed about the last days of Pope John Paul II. Enter a synagogue, a man who tried to heal ancient wounds between Catholics and Jews.
I remember when he first started using a cane. Before he'd appear in public, he'd put it aside and try to walk without it.
He watched John Paul adjust to his declining physical condition.
Gradually, he started appearing in public with a cane.
The health of the Holy Father, John Paul II, continues to improve and show progress.
March 3rd, 2005. Though the Pope's health remained in question, he remained in public, blessing children outside his hospital window, reading at a hospital mass, even appearing at St. Peter's Square via widescreen TV.
The Vatican wanted to project a picture that everything was going to be all right, that the Pope was going to recover, that this was just another scare, and that you, the journalist, are making a too big deal about this.
Closest colleagues, but that was some time ago. There is this beautiful phrase we use that sums it up. You don't come down from the cross.
I think that resignation was just completely inconsistent with the psychology of the man. This is someone who was profoundly convinced that on May 13th, 1981, the Virgin Mary changed the flight path of a bullet to preserve him in office, and that his pontificate was part of a broader cosmic story about the forces of good and evil at work in the world. I mean, if that's your conviction, I don't think you ever believe it's up to you to decide when to quit.
And the Pope made it very clear. Any talk of quitting would not shake his will. He would wait for God to call.
We were there for a normal consistory meeting where, before the Pope canonizes new saints, he calls all of us, cardinals, bishops around, says, this is their life. Do you vote in favor of canonization or do you not? We got the papers long before. And when we concluded that, we were about to get the blessing, and he said, please sit, I have something to say important for the church. So it was for us a surprise. And he said our mind. We are surprised. We love you, Father. We are near you. We know it have been an idea he got at 8 o'clock. The face, I like the style of this one. All popes will not have the same face. All popes will not have the same style. Of course, John Paul II Blessed is not the same as Paul VI, and is not the same as Pius XII, and is not the same as John 23rd Blessed, but all of them are successors of St. Peter. So my faith in our faith is very important. So Pope Benedict may be teaching us many more things than we realize.